Good afternoon, YTPC. How are you all doing? Well, just getting in one more smoke before next Friday in a week. Go in for the op, so have reduced it. Haven't smoked for 4 days at all, and decided to try one of my new modified corn cobs, because this video is mostly about that. So what I've done is I've been drilling forever stems to take a filter, a 6mm filter. And this here is the inaugural smoke of one of those modified cobs. I've done 3 so far. Drilling all went okay. Testing it now for draw, because I may open it up to take the filter, but this 4mm channel is still there in this stem, and then goes into the ceramic perforated cap of the 6mm filter, and the question is, can I get enough draw there? Is it going to be working, you know? There it is. So I made a little video about it, which you can take a look at, and this is basically how I did it. Here we go. Well, somebody asked me, can you drill a forever stem to take a 6mm filter? And my answer was, I've never tried it. I'm not sure if the top of the stem would be thick enough and take, if you like, the strain without maybe special tools which are suited to drilling acrylic stems. But I decided to think about it, and I thought of several ways in which you could introduce this filter into this shank, with a connector piece or something like that. But I thought it would be nicest that we just have a socket in the end of the stem and put it in. The other ways I had with the connector piece wouldn't have damaged or changed anything with the pipe. But what I noticed with cobs is, here's a Savinelli 6mm, that if you try and put them in, you notice there's a little bit of blocking. So you have to drill out a little bit of the wood in the lower stem, in the lower shank here. And that I've done, and that's not difficult. And all I'm using here is a Dremel. So I thought I'll have a go. You know, these are 17 francs each plus a bit of shipping. So for me in Switzerland, it's more like a 20 franc object, and they're beautiful. And I thought, oh, do I really want to do this? But no pain, no gain, I suppose. So I took my drill bits for the Dremel, which are suited for wood, because I thought wood is closer to acrylic than the bits I've got for steel or concrete. And I used a vise basically to hold the stem in place with some padding, of course. And to stop it vibrating when I was drilling, I had to hold it here while I was doing the drilling. And I started, of course, as you tend to do. So the initial hole already swallowed this drill bit here. That's about 4 millimeters. So I basically went up to this one, which wasn't quite 6 millimeters, but this is probably about 4.5 or something like that, and just tried to drill a little cup, because all you need to do is have just a few millimeters of grip around the filter, and it will hold, as I will show you. So that went okay, and I noticed it's better to drill on this setting, a slightly slower one, because if you go to the high settings, what you'll find is the thing will bounce, and as soon as it does that on acrylic, you've got a chance to chip it or crack it. So, you know, it takes you longer with these lower settings of rotation of the drill bit, but it's a bit safer. At least that was my observations. And then the last one, which is practically 6 millimeters, that's the good news about this bit. I just needed to take it down a few millimeters into the cup, which I did as carefully as I could. It came out not bad. I have slightly chipped the edges, but not very deeply. And, you know, you can always say, well, you don't see this when you're smoking, but that's the risk of it. I think I can polish this up and smooth it up, that it will look better. You know, pipe smokers and pipe makers, don't look at this video if you make pipes and make stems, because you'll be horrified at my pathetic handwork here. But basically it works. So here's these short Parisa ones, which are just under 6 millimeters in diameter, and in it goes, and it's not gone in very far. You know, you're talking about a millimeter or two, but it's enough. It's enough, and it'll be tight, and as you see, goes into the stem fine, just as it did before. I have slightly shaved up a bit more of the mouth of the stem using this tool to let the socket here go a bit further out. And there it is, you know, it works. Sucks all right. So, and as long as it holds when I'm smoking it, you know, it might not still be deep enough, but I think it's adequate. I'm going to try it with that, and if it's not, I'll do it a bit deeper. And the Savinelli is a fraction of a millimeter thicker, but it goes in reasonably solid. Because now I've cleared the shank further down, those collars are always coming off, whatever you do. That works. So I'm going to try it like this, and I'm not as good as Steve Coddington at doing this, but basically Steve, the pioneer, showed it can be done, and even with my, you know, primitive tools here, I think as long as you're accepting that you might scuff the edge here, and you know, there's a chance of you cracking it or taking a chip off. I'm sure there are more precise ways to do this, but it can be done. They can be drilled and made suitable for 6 millimeter. I think 9 millimeter you haven't got a chance because you'd be too thin on the walls. and there you'd have to use some kind of connector concept, which I'll be thinking about. But already this would be a step up in using a proper filter rather than just managing with crystals and or just a paper 4mm filter in the stem. Well, 2 new stems, Forever stems, arrived today, and I'm very pleased to say this method is absolutely repeatable. The disclaimer is there's always some risk, so you have to have a steady hand and take the drilling slowly and carefully. But in the way I showed you, this is a nice blue, deep blue Forever stem, this particular pipe, so I've got it just about 3 or 4mm inside the filter. You see, not very far, but that's enough. You just need not even that much, a cup, and there it is. And if you are very careful, they're robust enough. You just have to sometimes let it cool when it starts to get hot, and just do it slowly, bit for bit. Took me maybe, I don't know, both of these 40 minutes, just doing it very carefully. And then you have to check inside the stem if there's any ridges. In this particular one, there was a ridge for the stem. So the Forever stem has a slightly longer tenon and wouldn't go all the way in. Rather than shave it all off entirely, I just put this rubber spacer here, which I'll probably paint blue or something like that, that it won't look so conspicuous. And there you are. This actually was a 6mm cob with a black plastic stem, but of course the idea here is I can use these beautiful Forever stems and replace them, but you have to adjust the stem to take the filter, so that's good. And then I had this actually had the St. Patrick's Day cob with had a nice green stem, but again it was non-filter, so I ordered this swirl green Forever stem, and they fit most pipes pretty easily. It's almost just exactly 9mm this diameter, which fits in here very snugly. And there's that one, and here again it's just a few millimeters, and you can always choose if you want a longer filter or a shorter one, because of course you know it gets rather close to the bowl. So in some cases this particular stem is really rather short. I'll use the Parisa filter because it's shorter, won't get too near the heat that the paper catches light. And there we are. So you see the difference in the shank here is definitely longer in this case. So you have to sort of adapt and experiment a little bit with these things. But you know, there's enough alternatives out there to make it work. Where there's a will, there's a way. So it's quite simple and simple equipment, and I'm sure the professionals could do this much easier than I, and better. But it was adequate and sufficient for what I wanted to do. And the draw is okay, I think, so far. As with all filters, it's a little bit restricted versus, of course, a non-filtered pipe, but that's comparing an apple to an orange. But I don't notice this modification is performing much different to a normal cob with a stem that has a 6mm filter in it, so it seems to be working. Even after 3 days, I notice I can taste a lot of lovely flavours, and so it's actually good to take a few days off from pipe smoking, and it restores your palate to its full tasting capabilities. I thought if I was going to drill these things, I should do it during pipe week, when the pipe is the focus. Just for your information, smoking some Sutliff Ready Rubbed, which was the match of the Edgeworth Ready Rubbed, and it's actually pretty highly rated, 3.2 in tobacco reviews. Jim Inks himself gives it 4 stars, so it must be good. It's got a lovely cocoa topping, and it's a kind of nearer to a kind of you'd almost think it's like a cube cut when you look at it. But it smokes cool, of course, being any Ready Rub is an approach to being a flake, and will smoke cooler. This one is no exception. Picked myself a new lighter out of my browsing through eBay, which was this kind of bicycle bell style lighter. It's a fuel lighter, but it's got nice seals around where you fill it up, and it's got this kind of spin wheel, which is one of these sort of oriental things about, you know, Wheel of Fortune, or, you know, if you're superstitious. I don't think it's to do with any religion or anything, but it's, you find these kind of things like an executive toy, you know. Gold coloured. I don't think this is even plated because it was not expensive. Quite heavy though, but very attractive, I think, in its own bling bling way, you know. And in honour of the cobs, which have dominated my pipe week, I have a corn cob tamper from Larry Blackett. He comes up with fantastic new ideas for tampers all the time. Have a look at what he offers in Instagram. Just amazing. Very nice. Can recommend it to anybody for a cool. It's burly, of course. You know, cool, slightly nutty, of course. Chocolatey, bit of topping with the cocoa. It's really pleasant, and you could smoke this all day and all year. Well, that's it, my dears. I didn't want to babble on too long with this one. Just wanted to share you those drillings, and I will keep checking to see should I drill a bit more, because I've only just opened a cup to clasp the filter, you know, but I think that's adequate and sufficient. You know, the deeper I drill, the more I might take risk of cracking, but we'll see. But I'm very pleased. This means forever stems. I can have this aesthetic elegance of these stems and have a filter. It's marvellous. You take care, everyone. Cheers. Bye bye. Well, holy moly, we got a big storm coming up here, and we're in a kind of corridor where sometimes every 10 years we get golf ball size hailstones. My car is in the garage, so that's all right. Oh, you must have seen that one. It's a pretty spectacular. Oh, there's another one. If we're lucky, it'll skirt around us.